Hello, everybody. So we are here this afternoon for the data atelier about Power Platform, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. We will wait a few minutes to start this data atelier because we wait everybody here on YouTube and on LinkedIn. What are the tools that we will see today? The two tools that we will see are Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents. There are two tools um, that are members of the Power Platform. So I will just present my screen. Now you should see my screen. So the two tools that we will present today are Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents. If you want to know more about these two tools, more than that I will present in this data atelier, you can find a training PL 900, 1 day of training about the Power Platform to prepare the certification, the Microsoft certification PL 900. And this training, this 1 day training, is part of our training about data analysis. So if you make the training on data analysis, you will have 1 day of training on the PL 900 on the Power Platform. In the Power Platform, you have these two tools, Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents, but you also have Power Apps, Power BI, and Dataverse. These 5 tools are all the tools of the Power Platform. Perfect. So remember that you can, as Dennis did, you can ask questions or just put comments on the chat. If I see your question, I would just broadcast it, and I will try to answer it. And if so, don't hesitate if you have any question. So I will start now. Let's go. So as I said, we will talk about Power Automate, sorry, and Power Virtual Agents. Um, First of all, let's talk about Power Automate. Power Automate is one of the tools of the Power Platform that allows you to create automated flows and to connect many tools, affiliated or not, to Microsoft. In Power Automate, you can connect to more than 600 different tools, 600 different connectors, and each flow, and I will make a demo just after to illustrate what is an automated flow, but each flow is composed of one trigger and one or more actions. So what is a trigger? A trigger is an event that will order our flow to start. Okay, it gives the orders. It gives an order to the flow to start. There are 3 types of flows depending on their trigger. We can talk about automated flow. An automated flow, it's when the trigger, the flow is triggered by an external event. For example, when someone sends you an email, it will trigger your flow. The second type of flow is an instant flow. An instant flow, it's when you want to activate your flow, your scenario, uh, by clicking on a button. Okay, so by pressing a button, it will trigger your flow, and we are talking about an instant flow. And the last type of flows we will talk about are the scheduled flow. This one, it's triggered because you scheduled that at this time you want your flow to activate itself. Then, as I said, each flow is composed of one trigger and one or more actions. The actions are the different steps that you want to achieve during your flow. During the activation of your flow, you want maybe to send an email or to modify a database, to create a Google Sheet, to modify a Google Sheet, etc., etc. All these actions that you want to perform during your flows are the actions of a flow. Okay. So now the objective will be to make a demonstration of a Power Automate flow. Okay, just to show you the tool, and then we will talk about Power Virtual Agents. So here, I just show you the tool Power Automate. Okay, this tool has Power Virtual Agents and has all the Power Platform are free for a development way. If you just wanted, if you just want to use these tools for the development, you can have a free access to these tools. But if it's for the production, you will need to have a license to use them. So here I just use the free version of Power Automate, okay? And with this free version for the development, I can access all the features of Power Automate. So you can find here my flows, the flows that I already created. Here in create, we will create our automated flow, instant flow, or scheduled flow. And you can also find the templates, so flows that are already created by people in the world, or for example, by Microsoft, okay? And you can find here all the menus that you can find with Power Automate. Us, today, will focus on creating a flow. We will just for the demo, for the moment, we will create first an instant flow. So as I said before, an instant flow, it's when to activate it, to trigger it, you will just press a button. Okay. Whereas an automated flow, it's the external event that triggers your flow, and a scheduled flow, it's when you scheduled that at this time you want your flow to activate itself. So first of all, let's talk about an instant flow. The first thing I have to do is to give a name to my flow. Okay, so for that, I will call it data atelier because that's what we are doing today. Okay, just for the example, and then it asks me how I want to trigger my flow. I can just put a button on Power Automate, but I could also create a button on other tools of the Power Platform. So like Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, Dataverse, Microsoft Teams, Power BI, etc., etc. In other, if I choose, for example, to create a button on Power BI, when I will be on Power BI, I will have maybe at the top of the screen a button to trigger my flow. Okay, here just for the example, I will ask it to create the flow here on Power Automate. So I click on create, and it created my flow. And you can see that you will have several steps in your flow. The first one is the trigger, okay? And so as I said here, the trigger, it's when you want to click on it, okay? Just for the example here, the flow that we will create here, the instant flow that we will create, we will the objective of this flow is when I give to my flow a date, it has to send me an email automatically, okay, on Outlook here. It has to send me an email and it indicates me if the date I gave to my flow is a Friday or not. Okay, so it's not very interesting, but just for the example, we will do it. Okay, so if I go on the trigger here, I can add an input. Indeed, as I said, here I want me to give a date to my flow, and when I give it the date, it will send me an email telling me if it's a Friday or not. Okay, so when I will trigger my flow, when I will press a button, I will also need to give to my flow an input. Okay, that's why here in my trigger, I have to add an input. I will click on it, and each input that you will create can be a text, a yes or no, a file, an email, a number, or a date. Okay, so for those who have knowledge about Python or programmation, for example, you recognize here types of data, okay, types of a variable. It can be a string, text, a boolean, yes or no, a file, okay, an email, a number like float or integer, or a date. Me, in my case, as I said, I want to give a date, so I will choose the type date. Why is it important to have the correct type? Because here, because it's a date, you will see that Microsoft and the tool will understand that I'm talking about a date, so it will manage to perform the action. The name I will give to my variable here, it's for example Friday date. Okay, so it's the variable that I will give to my flow, and this variable, the flow will try to find if it's a Friday or not. Okay, so my trigger is ready. Now, each time I want to trigger my flow, it will ask me a date. Okay, then I have to add a second step. Okay, what is the second step? Um, my flow can have two different actions. If it's if the date I gave is a Friday, it will send me an email indicating me that it's a Friday. If it's not a Friday, my flow has to send an email indicating me that it's not a Friday. So here you can see that we have a condition. If we have a first condition, and if not, we have another condition. For those who made Python or programmation, you recognize an if condition. In Power Automate, you kind of have the same thing. You can find here in the actions a condition. Okay, and if I click on it, I can make a condition. Okay, and I will separate my flow into two different ways, two different paths. Here, if yes, and here, if no. Okay, so depending on the condition, it will go to this path or to this path. So here, what is my condition? It's if it's a Friday, I go to if yes. If it's not a Friday, I go to if no. Okay, so I will have to put a condition on the date here, Friday date. For that, if I click here on choose a value, you can see that it creates a field here with the dynamic content and the expression. What is the dynamic content? It's all the variables that are already created in my flow. You can see here username, user email, date, etc., etc. So what are all these variables? They are all the variables that are created in the trigger, because my flow, for example, if I create my flow and in 2 weeks I just press a button to execute it, to trigger it, at this time, depending on who pressed the button and the date and the location of the person who presses the button, the dynamic content will evolve. Okay, for example, if it's me, in 2 weeks, the username here will be my username, the user email will be my email. If it's in 2 weeks, it will be maybe a date in May, a timestamp, my address, etc., etc. But if it's another people username, it will be the name of another people. Okay, that's why it's a dynamic content, because it's dynamic, it can change. Okay, in the dynamic content, you also find the variable Friday date that I created, because this date also can also evolve. Okay, it depends on the date that we give as input to the flow. Okay, so my condition will will be on this Friday date. Okay, I will use this Friday date, and then the field expression, it's all the functions that are already created in Power Automate. For example, you can see here the string functions. So there are functions that you can use on text variables. Okay, for example, you have the function concat that enables us to concatenate two, three, or four strings. Okay, you can find functions about collections, about arrays, functions about Boolean logical functions, etc., etc. Us, we will use a function about date and time. Okay, and if I go to see more, you have the function day of week. The function day of week, it returns the day of the week of a timestamp. So that's very interesting, because me, I will give a date. So if I use day of week of this date, it will give me an integer with um, indicating me if it's a Monday, Friday, Tuesday, etc., etc. So I will use day of week, and in day of week, I will use Friday dates. Okay, so this here, this code here indicates that I want the output of the day of week of Friday date. So the output of this function, if it's a Friday, it will be 5. Okay. If it's a Monday, it will be 1. If it's a Tuesday, it will be 2. Wednesday 3, etc., etc. So if it's a Friday, it will be 5. Okay. So me, in my condition, I want to see if my day of week here, Friday date, is actually a Monday or not. Sorry, a Friday or not. Okay. So I need to compare the output of the function. Is it equal to 5? If it is equal to 5, it will go to if yes. If it is not equal to 5, it will go to if no. Okay. So now that I have done it, I can I have two more things to do. It's to indicate what to do if I go to if yes and what to do if I go to if no. If I go to if yes, I want my automation to um, to send an email. So find I will find an action Outlook. Okay, Outlook. And you can find here all the actions related to Outlook. So you can, for example, delete an email, get calendars, etc., etc. Me, I want to send an email. If I find it, where is it? Flag email. Okay. I will type send an email. Okay, here it is. Send an email V2 that will enable me to send an email. Okay, and then it's very easy because all the tool of the Power Platform are no code tools. So here it's very easy. You just indicate the person you want to send the email. I would send it to myself. You indicate the subject of your mail. So it's a Monday. It's a Friday, sorry. I don't know why. Because if we are in if yes, it means that it's a Friday. And here we say, okay, it's a Friday. And then I will do the same here in if no. I had an action, send an email. But this time I don't send it's a Friday, but it's not a Friday. Okay. And then we will try to, it's not a Friday. It's not a Friday. Perfect. And let's see if it works. So here I think that my flow is ready. Okay, so once it's ready, remember to click on save. Okay, and you will save it. When you will save it, it will indicate you if you have a mistake, an error in your flow. Okay, that could be an error. Here it tells me that there is no error. My flow is ready to go, so they recommend me to test it. Here, if I click on test, I will press a button and I will test it like to see if it works. So that's what I will do. I will click on test manually, of course, because it's an instant flow. So you have to manually start it by pressing a button. I click on test, continue. And of course, when I want to test it, remember that I have an input. It's a date. So it asks me the input that I want to put here. And because I defined the input as a date, you see that I can access a calendar. It knows that it's a date. Okay, I will, for example, put today's date, so the 21st of April today. Run flow. Okay, it tells me that it's run done. I received the email, and it tells me okay, it's a Friday. Okay, so my flow worked. If I want to test now, just to see manually test with a date that is not a Friday, so for example, the 13th, the 30th of April, done. Did I receive? Yes, I received the mail, and it tells me that it's not a Friday. Okay, so of course it was an easy example, but it shows you how to use um, an instant flow. Are there any questions on that for the moment? Can you write the variable in the email? Um, right. Yes, that's a good question, Olivier. You mean maybe here in the email, write the variable that I had at the beginning. You can do it by using the dynamic content. Here, you see in my email, I can add maybe the date. I can add many things. Okay, many different things using the dynamic content. Okay, if I do it, for example, um, up. Sorry, I have to save it. Every time you change something, remember to save it. Okay, test manually. Test run flow. Sorry, the date of today. Up run flow. And here you will see that it's a Friday and it gave me the date of today. Okay, so of course you can indicate the date using the dynamic content. That was a good question. Any other question? No? Okay, now we will talk about a second type of flow. It's the scheduled flow. This time, we want our flow to activate maybe every day at 9 or every minute. I don't know, something like that. So we will schedule it. Okay. So for that, I will give a flow name. So a scheduled data atelier. Perfect. Um, it asks me when I want my flow to start. So I will make it start this morning at 10 a.m. Okay. And do I want it to repeat every minute or every month, every week, every day, etc. I will repeat it every minute for the moment. Create. There is a question from Dennis. Is it a communication tool only? No, Dennis, it's not only a communication tool. Here I sent an email, okay, and I will do it now also. But you can delete emails, you can create a Google Sheet, you can send a message on Slack. You can here you will see that I will access to the weather. So there are many things that you can do because there are more than 600 connectors. So you have many tools that you can use, and not only for communication. Okay, you can uh, modify a database, etc., etc. So here, for our scheduled flow, sorry, we have here the trigger. Okay, here for the example, I will just ask my flow every minute to send me the weather of tomorrow. Okay, so for example, you could do it every month, every day at 9 a.m. You send me the weather for tomorrow. Okay, that's what I will create. So I add a new step. Okay, I will use weather. There is three actions about the weather with MSN weathers. Get current weather, get forecast for today or for tomorrow. Me, I want the forecast for tomorrow. Okay. The location, I am in Paris, so I will ask it for Paris. And then in what units do I want it? Here, new step, I will ask to send it by mail, but it could be on Slack, it could be on many different things. Okay. Here, just to be very clear, I will also use an email. In the subject, I will put weather forecast for tomorrow. And here, I will use the dynamic content. I will ask, for example, day summary. Here, it's a text that summarizes the forecast for tomorrow. I think that's a good idea. If I do it, save, perfect. And now, perfect, it's created. Yes, perfect. And now if we wait for 1 minute, it should sorry send me an email on Outlook. For the moment, but during we wait, is there any questions about Power Automate? And then just after that, we will talk about Power Virtual Agents. That is a tool that enables to create chatbots. Okay. Okay, I received the mail, so you see that it was less than 1 minute. and it gives me forecast for tomorrow. And here, bring an umbrella. It's going to rain. There will be 66 degrees, so it's not in French metrics. I think it's in Fahrenheit, but it worked perfectly well. Okay, clear for everybody. And then I would just turn off my flow, because if I let it turned on, it will send me an email every minute. So if I turn it off, I didn't delete my flow, but just I told it not to trigger itself. Clear? Perfect. Let's talk now about Power Virtual Agents. So Power Virtual Agents, it's another tool of the Power Platform that allows the creation of a chatbot, a personalized chatbot. Uh, be careful, Power Virtual Agents doesn't use any intelligence artificial models. Okay, it's fully scripted. Okay, so you will tell to your chatbot, if people ask that, you answer that. If it asks that, you answer that, etc. Totally scripted. Okay, no artificial intelligence. This tool is very useful because once again, with a no-code tool, you will be able to create a very powerful chatbot. Okay, and this chatbot can be linked with Power Automate. Okay, the tool we saw just before, to answer to the people, but also to perform actions. So that's very interesting, because not only your chatbot can answer to people, it can also perform actions by using Power Automate, and that's what we will see just after. So the advantages of this tool, it's very quick and easy to set up because it's a no-code tool. It helps, of course, teams after sales service, customer care, etc. And the chatbot can carry out actions by using Power Automate. There is a question from ACell. Is there a possibility to give more example for Power Automate different from date? Don't worry, ACell. Just during the during the demo of Power Virtual Agents, I will also recreate another Power Automate flow. Okay, so no worries. I will talk about it just after. It would be, we saw date. We will have also strings and numbers. Okay, so the chatbots, how does it work? It works with topics. What is a topic? It's a script that indicates to the chatbot how to interact with the user. You can create new topics, or you can also edit existing topics. Okay, we will see it later, because when you create a chatbot, you will see that there will be existing topics that you can't delete, but you can edit them, or you can also create new topics. So we talk about user topics, the one that you created, or system topics, the one that were created by Microsoft and you can't delete. Power Virtual Agents so works with topics, but also with entities. What is an entity? An entity, it's an information that can be extracted from the text of the user. Maybe it's difficult to understand now. For example, if my chatbot asks to the user, "How old are you?" Okay, the user answers, "I am 20 years old." Okay, the entity will enable Power Virtual Agents to extract only the information about the age, so only 20. Okay, and why is it interesting? Because if you want to use this information later for statistics, or I don't know, if it takes all the answer, it will be, "I am 20 years old." Okay, whereas if you use the entity, it will extract only the age, or only the phone number, or the postal code, city name, etc., etc. Okay, so I will show you just after how to use the entities. It's a very powerful tool from Power Virtual Agents, and you can use the pre-built entities, or you can also customize your own entities. A question from Andreas: which events on the computer can trigger an automation? Um, what do you mean on the computer? Because Andreas, for example, you can have when you receive an email, you can have when you receive a Slack message, when your database is modified by someone. Uh, I don't know when an event is created in a calendar or modified in a calendar. Everything could trigger your flow. I don't know if I answered the question. Last thing that Power Virtual Agents can do, as I said before, is that it can use Power Automate to perform action. So you can call a flow from a topic. You can also use existing flows, and you can create a flow from Power Virtual Agents. And that's what we will do just after. So let's go for the demo about Power Virtual Agents. So I go to Power Virtual Agents. You see that the structure of the tool is quite the same as Power Automate. And if you go to Power Apps and all the tool of the Power Platform, you will have quite the same structure. And here you can see all the chatbot that I already created. Okay, and if I go to create, I can create my own chatbot. Okay, so I will use build for production. Name my bot Data Atelier. Okay, you already have it. Perfect. And here it's very important to specify the language of your bot. Okay. Uh, do you want it to talk in French, in English, in Dutch, etc.? Here, of course, it will be in English. And I will click on create. Here it will take a bit of time because it's creating all the topics that are created by default by Microsoft. You will see that there is a topic about greeting, um, and many different topics that we will see. Great, Andreas. If I answered your questions, another way to trigger your Power Automate flow, Andreas, it's to call it with Power Automate with Power Virtual Agents. Sorry, for example, your bots during the construction of your bot during the conversation between your bot and the user, maybe at a time your bot can call a flow, so trigger a flow to perform an action. That's what we'll do. That's another example of trigger for an automation. Perfect. So now my bot is ready. And if I go now here to topics, you can see all the topics that are created by default by Microsoft. So here there are lessons to teach you about Power Virtual Agent. So we won't um, try it. But for example, this one, greeting, if I go to this one, you see here that there is a topic that is already created, and a topic is composed of a first module with the trigger phrases and then messages. What is a trigger phrases? It's if I test my bot, for example, if I use here April, it will tell me that he's not able to find any related topic. Okay, because April is not member of the trigger phrases. Whereas if the user says good afternoon, it's the chatbot understands that good afternoon is one of the trigger phrases of the topic greeting. Okay, so it understands that it has to trigger the topic greetings. Okay, that's the interest of the trigger phrases. It's to start the communication with your chatbot. Okay, so if you are creating a chatbot about I don't know about sports, maybe in your trigger phrases you will put sentences or words related to sports because you know that the users that will talk to your chatbot will maybe talk about football or something like that, and you want this word to start the conversation with the chatbot. Okay, or in the trigger phrases you also have hello, good afternoon, of course, because many times the conversation starts with a hello agent or something like that. So in the greetings we have the trigger phrases, and we also have messages here that are sent by the chatbot. Dennis, does the chatbot act as an API? No, Dennis, it doesn't really act as an API because it's not a relationship between two tools. Um, it's only, I think you have already seen a chatbot when you are on a customer care service, for example. You want to talk about to a human, but before you can talk with a chatbot that will try to answer your questions. Okay, and you will see how we will create it. So here, when the chatbots see that we have one of the trigger phrases that are here, it executes all the modules of the greeting. Okay, so here the first message, we can find it here. Here's the second message. Here's the third message. Okay, so the message that's good because it gives messages to the user, but when you just send a message, it doesn't ask anything to the user. Okay, it's just an information that you give to the user, but you don't expect an answer from the user. If you expect an answer from the user, you won't use a message, so I will just delete it. As I told you, the topics that are already created, you can delete them, but you can how to say it, modify them. Okay, so that's what I do here. I will add a note. Okay, and I will ask a question just for the moment to show you what to show you what is the entities. I will ask a question here. How old are you? Just to show you. If I ask how old are you, okay, uh, what type of question is it? Is it a multiple choice options question? No, of course not, because there are too many options. So here it's a user. Do I expect an entire response from the user, or an age, or a boolean, a city, etc.? If I expect an entire response, it means that then if I show a message, you are 4 years old. You see here, I will ask the question, how old are you? Okay, and the entire response of of the user will be saved in a variable named var. Okay, I will call it age. Okay, and then I will send to the user, you are age years old. Okay, depending on the value of age. So let's try this. If I do it, I save it. So like for Pro Automate, every time you want to test your topic, just save it. Okay, so here I will test it in a few seconds. Perfect. So hello, because it's one of the trigger phrases. The chatbot answer, how old are you? Okay. Here, if I say 20, it say you are 20 years old. Perfect. That's great. But if I say hello, how old are you? I'm 20 years old. I'm 20. It doesn't work here because it tells me I'm 20 years old. Why? Because here I expected the entire response of my user. Here, the best thing to do is to use an entity. The entity age, it will enable my chatbot to extract from I'm 20 only the information that I want, so only the 20. Okay, let's try it. I save it. Hello, how old are you? I'm 20 years old, and you are 20 years old. So it's extracted here age, it extracted only 20. Okay, so that's why the entities are very strong, very powerful objects. Okay, so now it's not how old are you that I want to do here. I will just create a chatbot that will enable us to interact with it. Here, the example that we will use, you see here, I have just a file with athletes. Okay, we will talk with it, we will work with it, and our chatbots will be a chatbot that enables to 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 get information about the database. For example, a user doesn't have the information, doesn't have access to the database, but it will ask the chatbot, can you give me the height of this athlete Fritz Anes? Okay, and our chatbot will interact with the people and give to the user, if it can access it, the information about this athlete. Okay, so let's try to do it. Perfect. So the first thing to do is to ask a question. Do you want to consult the athlete information? Okay, that's what we will ask to the chatbot. Do you want to consult the athlete information? Here, the best way to do it, the best way to build a good chatbot is to use as much as you can the multiple choice options. Why? Because if you use the multiple choice options, it means that the user can't answer whatever he wants. He's obliged to use one of your options. So it's much easier to keep a structure in your chatbot. Okay. So here, first option, sorry, yes. Second option, no. Okay. And by doing this, you see that when I add another option, it created two branches. Okay. Now I have two paths in my flow. Here, if it's sorry, here it's if the user answered yes. Here is it's if the user answered no. Okay, and the answer of my user, I will keep it in a variable named var. I will keep var because I didn't find an option. Okay, so now I have two paths. If he answers yes, if he answers no. Okay, if he answers no, I will put an end to the conversation because I can't help it. Okay, you see that how I did it here. End of conversation. I can end it by transferring to an agent, to a human agent, or ending with a survey about does the conversation help him. Okay, so let's try it just to see. I save it, and there is a question from Anna. What if I answer 20 with a word? Anna, if you answer 20 with a word, um, that's a good question. If you answer 20 with a word, the entity won't work. It will, I think it will get the word 20, but it won't transform it into the number 20. Okay, so it will just write 20 in letters, but if you want to use it as a numerical value, it won't work. It won't work. Okay. Okay, so let's try it. Here, hello. It tells me, do you want to consult athlete's information? And I will click on no. And if I click on no, uh, it's put the end of the conversation, and it goes to how to say it, a survey on did that answer my question, and then I can continue on it. Okay. Here, that's not what I want. Up. Okay. Sorry. What did he do? What did he do? Oh, there was a bug. Okay. Sorry. So I come back to greeting. Okay. And here I would just now focus on this branch when I answer yes, because it's more interesting. So if I answer yes, I will add a message. I would say great. So I would say great. For that, I need to ensure that you can have access to this database, because of course, uh, not everybody can access the database. So we will have to ask the user is his ID and his password to see if it can access the database. Okay, so for that, I will here create a new topic. Okay, so I save it, I save greeting, and I will create a new topic. Why to create a new topic? Because we will we could create everything in the same topic here. okay, all the path, etc., etc. But it would be too big. Okay, so we will create a new topic, and then we will just link the two topics. Okay, if I click here, you see that I can redirect to another topic. Okay, that's what I will do, so that I have many small topics. It's better than one big huge topics. So I will create a new topic named from Blake, then consult, because he wants to consult athlete information. And this topic, I won't give any trigger phrases. Why? Because I never want this topic to be triggered by a sentence. This topic will be triggered by the other topic, okay? By a redirection to this topic, okay? And in this topic, I will ask my user, ask a question. I will ask his username and his password. What is your username? Username. Um, Here it's not a multiple choice question. It's an entire response, and I will keep the information in ID or username, and exactly the same. What is your password? Password, and it's entire response, and I will keep in password. Why do I do it? Because I will compare this username and this password to the correct username and password. And if they are the correct password and username, it means that my user can access the athlete database, and I can give to my user the information. Okay, so to do it, to compare this username and this password to the correct username and password, I will use a Power Automate flow. Okay, so I will here use call an action. If I make call an action, it means that I want to use one of my flows or to create a new flow. Me, I will create a new flow. So it opens Power Automate. Okay, and here you will see I will call it Data Atelier. Yeah, give it perfect. um, you can see that it created already my trigger. My trigger is Power Virtual Agents. Okay, it's my chatbot, and already a return value, because here I want to ask the info to my to Power Automate if the password and the username are correct. Okay, and I want my flow to give me an answer, to give me an output to my chatbot, so that I can continue with my chatbot. Okay, so let's go. My with my my Power Automate flow, it has to compare the username and the password with the correct username and password. Okay, so for that, first of all, I have to add an input, because my chatbot will give an input to my flow. The input will be the username and the password. So I have to add two inputs: a first input of type text named username, and a second input of type text also with a password. Okay, so it answers the question of ASIL. It's not only with the date but also here with text. Okay, so perfect. My trigger is here. Then I will add an action. I want to verify if the username and the password are correct. So you heard what I said. I said if the username and password are correct. So for that, I need a condition. Okay, if it's correct, I go to if yes. If it's not correct, I go to if no. What is the condition? It is if username is equal to, we will just use, for example, data scientist. Okay, we will tell that it's the right username, and I add another condition. So it's an and here, and my password is equal to data. Okay, so here you see it's an and. It's the both of the conditions have to be true to go to if yes. Okay, I could put here an or. If you put a or, it means that if one of the two conditions are correct, it will go to if yes. But here it's an and. The username and the password have to be correct to go to if yes. If they are correct, if they are correct, uh, I want my Power Automate flow to return the value access granted. If it goes to if no, I want my flow to return the value access denied. Okay, so for that, I will put return. I will return a value to Power Virtual Agents. I will just delete this one. I add an output. This output would be a text. Okay, and the title is access. Okay, and the value of the it will be access granted. Okay, we authorize the access. If it's not data centers and data, here return a value. I return a value. I add an output text, and it will be access denied. Okay, save. So perfect. My flow is correct. So I just save it, and then I will come back to my chatbot, and I will try to um, to integrate this Power Automate flow into my chatbot, and we'll try to use my chatbot. Oh, okay, there is a problem. What is the problem here? Um, you see what we have? We have a message like that when you save a flow with an error. Bad request. What is the bad request here? Mm-mm-mm. Uh, I verified the username password. Oh, okay, here. It's an error here. Username. Perfect. I put why I don't know why, but I put here access. Okay, so I save it again. No, again the problem. Username password. Perfect. Username equal to data scientist. Password is equal to data. Access granted. Access denied. Wait, I just deleted this one. Okay, so if I do it again, sometimes um, there are problems whereas your code is okay, but access, because I'm sure that it was correct. So access granted, and here add an action, return access denied, access denied. Okay, so let's try it again, save. And if it doesn't work, I will just restart my flow because it can access. Okay, perfect. Can the password be encrypted? Fadimatu, what do you mean encrypted for the user? It will be encrypted. Don't worry, because here, of course, the user won't have access to this flow. But if you want it to be encrypted, even for me, you could do it. But how would you do it? You could have the password in a file, okay, for example in a Google Sheet file or something like that, and here uh, you wouldn't put here data, but you will get the access to the Google Sheet file, okay, and tell him, does it match with the line with the row in the Google Sheet file. Okay, here it was just to do it easily, but you could do it something more encrypted indeed. Okay, so my flow is ready. So now I come back to here my chatbot. I call an action, and the action I call is my data atelier. Oh, sorry, I created on details. Okay, my data atelier. It asks me that in my data atelier, remember I have two inputs. Okay, so it asks me the input username. I would put username, the answer of my user to this question, and in the input password, I would put the password that gave me the user. Okay, password. And then just to see if it worked, I would show a message, access. Let's go. Let's see if it worked. Okay, I'm saving it. Perfect. The chatbot is loading. Perfect. So, hello. Do you want to go to add that information? Yes. Oh, sorry. I forgot one thing is that I didn't linked my current topic consult with my greeting. Sorry, with my greeting topic. Okay. Here I need to do one last thing. You can see here it reached the end of greeting, so it didn't do anything else. Here I have to add one thing. Redirect to another topic, and the topic is consult. Okay, I save it and I will repeat it again. Okay, so hello, do you want to consult? Yes, great. For that I need, and it goes to the other topic, um, consult. Okay, what is your username? We say data scientist, scientist, perfect. The password, it was data, access granted. And now if I do the same, hello, yes, username F, I don't put the correct username, F, access denied. Okay, so it worked perfectly well. If you have the correct ID and password, it gives you the access. If it doesn't, if you don't have the correct, it just denies you the access. Is it clear for everybody? Yes, clear for everybody? Perfect. So now we'll go to the last part of our chatbot. Depending of if we have access or not, so we will add a condition. So if the variable access is equal to access granted, it will give us the information about the database. And if it's not access granted, it will just maybe end the conversation or not. You know what we will do? We'll create another topic named invalid to say that you have invalid credentials, invalid creds. Perfect. Uh, Perfect. Like that. And we will redirect it to consoles. Why do I do it? You will see. Save. So invalid creds are redirected to consoles. Okay. And consoles, if the access is denied, I redirect it to invalid creds. So here, what will we do? It will ask the password and the ID. If it's not correct, it will go to invalid creds. Invalid creds will send um, invalid credentials, please try again. And then it will redirect again to consult. So it will ask again the username and the password. Okay. And um, well, if, sorry, how to say it? Um, if the user doesn't have the correct credentials, every time it will come back to the beginning and it will ask again the username and the password. Can this tool be implemented on a website or intranet? Yes, Dennis. At the end, you can post it. If sorry, you can share it and have it on a website or intranet. Indeed, you can. Okay, perfect. So let's try it. Hello. Do you want to consult? Yes. What is your username? I make a mistake. I don't have the correct. You see what did you do? Okay, it's not what I wanted it to do. Consult. What is your password? T. Okay, I don't know what it did. Maybe I didn't save it. So hello. yes, username D, password D. Okay, invalid credentials, please try again. And it asks again, what is your username? Okay, so now maybe I made a mistake the first time. Data scientist, data, and this time it's correct. And it goes to access granted. Okay, now if I have my access granted, I will ask my my user which athlete it wants to access the information. So what is the athlete's first name? Okay, uh, entire response, first name. Then what is the athlete's last name? Entire response, last name. And finally, what information the user wants to know. Okay, is it height or weight? So for that, because you can see here, it can need the information height, weight, or for example, NOC or sex. We would just put height or weight, for example. So we will put a multiple choice options, height, new option, weight. Okay, and the var here, it will be information, info. Perfect. Okay, and now that we have done it, we know which athlete he wants and which information about its athlete he wants. So now we will perform a Power Automate flow to access this database to extract maybe the height or the weight of the correct athlete, come back to the chatbot and send the information to the user. So let's do it. We will call an action. We will create a flow. Now I will be a bit faster. In the inputs, I need the first name, the last name, and the info he wants. Okay, perfect. Then you can see here in athletes the variable name. We have the first name and the last name in the same variable. Okay, whereas here we have the first name and the last name in two different variables. Okay, so we will concatenate these two variables. So for that, I will use variable. There is an action to initialize a variable. Okay, I initialize a variable named um, uh, first last name. It will be the concatenation of the first name and the last name. It's a string. Okay, and the value it will be in expression concat. Okay, concat with first name, then second parameter a space. Okay, and third parameter the last name. Okay, perfect. So I created this first variable, and then I will create another variable that will get the information I want. Okay, so the height or the weight. So I will just show it to you. Variable, initialize variable. Okay, this variable will be value. Okay, it will be a type string, and I will give it no value because for the moment I don't have the information of the correct weight and the correct height. So for the moment, my variable doesn't have a value. If the user give me an athlete that doesn't exist in my database, my variable value will never get a value. Okay, so I will be able to say your the athlete you gave me doesn't exist. Whereas if the user give me maybe Fritz Arnes, for example, I will change the value of this variable to the height or the weight. Okay, so let's go. Now I will get the information of my Google Sheet atlas here. So I connect to a sheets. I will use get rows to get the information of this table, okay, of this database. The file, I have to pick the file in my Google Drive named athletes. The worksheet, if it works, is athletes because I only have one worksheet, but I could have many worksheets. Perfect. And then now I want to compare for each row. I want to compare the name here that we have here to the variable first last name. I mean the name that gave me the user. So if it's the same name, I want to obtain the value of the height or the weight. If it's not the same name, I just go to the row after. To do this, for those who know programmation languages, it's a for loop. Okay, for each row in my Google Sheet, I want to compare the name with the name variable. Okay, so for that, I will put a condition. Condition. What is the condition? Is first last name is equal to the name. And here you will see it created a for loop named apply to each. It means that it applies the condition here, this condition, to each row in my Google Sheet. Okay. So for each row, it will compare the value first last name to the name that we have here, Dijang, Lamouzi, etc. etc. Okay. If if yes, if we have the same values, okay. If yes, I will add an action, another condition on the info he wants. If this info is equal to height, so now the variable that we created at the beginning, set variable, the variable value, I give now the value of the height. If it wasn't height, that means that it was weight. So I add another action condition. Sorry, not a condition. Sorry. I add another action variable, and now my variable I will give it the value weight. Okay. So what did I do here? If there is a match between my name, the name the user gave me, and the name in my rows, if there is a match, okay, I just put the value of my variable to weight or weight. If there is no match, I just don't do anything. Okay. And then at the very last of my at the very bottom of my flow, I just return an output. What is my output? It's a text output. It is value. Okay, it's the value of the variable value. Where is it? Here, value. Okay, so value. If there is a row where we had a match, the value here is the weight or the height of the athlete. If there has been no match, the value still have the same value at the beginning. It means no value. Okay. So I save it, and now we will include it in our. Sorry, I have to give it a name. Sorry, I will have to give a name. So I will name it. I don't know. PPP because just don't have a name. I will save it and we will include it in our chatbot and it should work. So let's go back to the chatbot. Call an action. Here PPP. First name as input I give first name, last name, and info. There's a question from Dennis. Are we limited in terms of condition levels? No, Dennis, we are not limited in terms of condition levels in your Power Automate. You can put many conditions. Okay, so here and now, depending on the return, I will put a condition, add a condition. If the value has a value, I will show a message. Here is the info of first name, last name. And if it doesn't have any value, it means that there was no match between the athlete and the database. I just send a message, show a message, no athlete named first name, last name. Let's try it. I save it. Perfect. So, hello. Do you want to consider added information? Yes. Great. What is your username? Data scientist. What is your ID or your password? Data. What is the athlete's first name? We Fritz Hannes. We take a real athlete here. So Fritz, first name. Last name, Hannes. Perfect. What information do I want? Maybe I want the height. Okay, sorry. Height. So now it's performing the action. It will take a bit of time because it's comparing each name with each row of the Google Sheets. You can see that we have the 3 points here, and it will give me an answer. 3, 2, 1. In maybe 1 minute, that will give me an answer. It's a bit long. It's very long. I hope it worked. It should work, but it takes many time. Maybe my connection is not very good. I will just check if my flow is correct. Yes, it is. Ah, okay. So first name here, first last name, concat, value string, get rows, athletes, apply to each. Correct. Yeah, it should work. Ah, okay. Maybe I will just try again. So, hello. Yes, data scientists, data, athlete first name. Just we put an incorrect. Okay, wait. If I ask here an incorrect name for our athletes, it should give me this information. Can you move your picture to the top left? Oh, sorry, because you can see it. Oh, yeah. Um, wait. You're right. I should do it. How can I do it? I will try to do it like that. It's okay. Oh no, it didn't work. No, it's not what I wanted to do. Okay, just okay like that. It should be better. It should be okay, but it doesn't work. Why does it not work? I will just check my here. Um, it should work actually, but it's very very long. I don't know why. Because here, please enter your flow. Let's do it again. First name, last name, info, info. Okay. So I add a condition, select a variable, variable value one. If it has a value, perfect. We show message, value, info, value one. Let's try it. It should work, actually. I hope so. Okay, last try. And if it doesn't work, it's not very it's not really a problem. It's just a problem of connection, I think. So, what is your username? Data scientist, password data, first name Fritz, Hannes, weight, cross the fingers. I'm sorry, I think it won't work, but actually it did yesterday. So I think it's I don't know why, but it should work because it's not a problem of you see the how to say it the the flow runs. It's not a problem of running, but it's too long. Whereas the database is not very very big, so I think it's a bit it's a problem. It's a lack of connection here, but it should work and it should give you the information you want on the weight of the atoms. Okay, any question on it, guys? So now with that, you have seen many different cases of application of the Power Automate flows, and you can see how to create a chatbot. Right for you? So if you are interested on Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents, remember that you can, I will just stop it, stop the screen. You can just go to the data scientist website. You will find that we have 1 day of training on the Power Platform. So these two tools, but also Power, as I said at the beginning, Power Apps, Power BI, and Dataverse. Okay, so if you're interested in it, I encourage you to go to the data scientist website. I hope it was interesting for you. Thank you guys for your attendance and have a good weekend and a good afternoon. See you. Goodbye.